In Hollywood, actors are often faced with roles that challenge them not just creatively, but personally. And for Terrence Howard, one of those roles was Marvin Gaye, an opportunity that could have been a career-defining moment. Yet, the Oscar-nominated actor turned down the role, not due to scheduling conflicts or a lack of interest in Marvin's legendary life story, but because of one particular element: Marvin Gaye's rumored sexuality. Howard's refusal didn't just raise eyebrows, it sparked heated debates about masculinity, the boundaries of acting, and the discomfort some male actors still express when asked to portray queer characters, even in a nuanced or speculative light. But was this just about personal boundaries, or does it speak to something deeper within the actor and even within Hollywood itself? Terrence Howard's comments: "I would cut my lips off." During a candid appearance on Bill Maher's Club Random podcast, Terrence Howard revisited a missed opportunity playing the legendary soul icon Marvin Gaye. He explained that he once had the chance to portray both Smokey Robinson and Marvin Gaye in respective biopics, but ended up passing on both, particularly turning down Marvin Gaye's due to implications about the singer's sexuality. "I couldn't do it," Howard admitted. "I would cut my lips off if I had to kiss a man. I can't fake it." That statement alone unleashed a flood of criticism online. While some sympathized with the actor for choosing roles that align with his comfort level, others saw his reaction as deeply problematic and rooted in fragile masculinity. Howard doubled down, saying he couldn't fully surrender to a role that he didn't understand, and therefore couldn't authentically portray a man who might have had relationships with other men. Marvin Gaye, a life shrouded in musical brilliance and personal mystery. Marvin Gaye's life story is as compelling as his music, perhaps even more so. The Motown legend helped shape the sound of soul in the 1960s and 70s, delivering hits like What's Going On, Let's Get It On, and Sexual Healing. But his personal life was marred by family trauma, drug addiction, and unresolved emotional wounds. Born Marvin Pence Gaye Jr., he eventually added the E to his surname, partly to distance himself from his father, Marvin Gaye Sr., and also, some claim, to silence rumors about his sexuality. Over the years, there have been whispers in the entertainment industry that Gaye may have had relationships with men. These claims were infamously echoed by Quincy Jones in a 2018 Vulture interview, where he alleged that Marvin Gaye, Richard Pryor, and James Baldwin all had intimate affairs with Marlon Brando. Quincy's claims have never been proven, and Gaye never publicly came out. He was married twice to women and fathered 3 children. Still, as societal perspectives on sexuality evolve, some believe that a biopic exploring Gaye's life authentically should also include the complexities of his rumored private experiences, something Terrence Howard flatly rejected. Masculinity and Hollywood. What was Terrence really afraid of? Howard's visceral reaction, saying he would cut his lips off if he ever had to kiss a man on screen, begs a larger question. Was this about the role, or was it about Terrence's own discomfort with masculinity? Some believe his comments reflect a fear of being perceived as anything less than hyper-masculine. For an actor who's played everything from romantic leads to action heroes, portraying a potentially queer figure might have felt like a betrayal of that image. But in 2025, is it still a valid concern? Or does it reflect outdated thinking? Critics quickly pointed out that acting is, by nature, about transformation, playing someone else, even if that means challenging one's personal norms. Many actors, including straight men, have portrayed queer characters with grace and depth, earning praise for their bravery and emotional authenticity. So why couldn't Terrence? Some argue it's less about the character and more about the actor's internal conflict. Howard has a long history of controversial views and problematic behavior, many of which raise questions about his understanding of identity, respect, and even his relationship with women. A long history of problematic behavior. Terrence Howard has faced criticism before, not just for his opinions, but for his actions. In 2001, he was arrested for assaulting his estranged wife, Lori McComas. His second wife, Michelle Vent, also accused him of domestic violence and was granted a restraining order. Another woman, Mei Sang Yang, who had an affair with Howard while he was still married, claimed he physically abused her as well, allegedly pulling a blade on her and threatening self-harm in an emotional outburst. These are not isolated incidents. They form a troubling pattern, especially when paired with some of Howard's most eyebrow-raising quotes about women. In one interview, he infamously declared that if a woman used dry toilet paper, she was unclean, and he expected her to switch to baby wipes as a condition for a relationship. He also implied that women who wore revealing clothing should not complain about being objectified. To many, these comments weren't just eccentric, they were deeply misogynistic. Howard's track record extends to his professional relationships too. On the set of The Best Man, director Malcolm Lee described him as mercurial, hot and cold, and often challenging to work with. He reportedly refused to follow the script or direction, insisting on delivering his lines his own way. On Iron Man, he was allegedly so difficult that director Jon Favreau minimized his role and eventually replaced him with Don Cheadle for the sequel. All of this adds up to a portrait of a man who struggles with authority, collaboration, and perhaps vulnerability. The very things a nuanced portrayal of Marvin Gaye would have required. What Hollywood lost, and what it reveals. It's worth noting that Terrence Howard is, by all accounts, a talented actor. When he's fully invested, his performances are compelling and layered. That's what makes his refusal to play Marvin Gaye all the more disappointing to many fans. They see it not just as a missed opportunity for Howard, but a loss for Hollywood and for Gaye's legacy. A proper biopic of Marvin Gaye, warts and all, could offer audiences a fuller picture of the man behind the music. It could explore the trauma inflicted by his father, the pain he carried through relationships, and yes, even the rumors that trailed him in life and death. But more than that, it could push the envelope on how we depict masculinity in black men on screen. Howard's refusal to engage with this possibility sends a message, intended or not, that certain aspects of a man's life are still too taboo to touch. And when actors back away from complex roles out of personal discomfort, they also reinforce stigmas rather than help dissolve them. Was Terrence just being honest? To be fair, no actor should be forced to take on a role that makes them uncomfortable. Terrence Howard was honest about his limits, and honesty in Hollywood is rare. He didn't try to fake interest. He didn't pretend it was a creative decision. He simply said, "I can't do that." Some would argue that this kind of self-awareness is preferable to watching an actor fumble through a performance they're not emotionally prepared for. Perhaps it's better that Howard bowed out before production even began. But that doesn't mean his comments should go unchallenged. Saying you'd cut your lips off to avoid kissing a man, when so many LGBTQ+ actors still face discrimination and fear for their safety, is harmful rhetoric. It feeds into toxic stereotypes and undermines the progress others have fought hard to achieve. The legacy of Marvin Gaye still deserves justice. Marvin Gaye was a complex, tortured genius. His music gave voice to pain, love, sexuality, and societal change. He lived through unspeakable trauma and died tragically, shot by his own father in a heartbreaking culmination of lifelong conflict. A biopic that ignores these elements in favor of a sanitized version of his life would be a disservice. Conversely, a biopic that dares to tell the full story, however complicated, would be a gift to audiences and a tribute to Gaye's depth. Whether or not Terrence Howard was the right actor to deliver that tribute is now irrelevant. He made his choice, but in doing so, he also revealed something critical. We still have a long way to go when it comes to dismantling the rigid ideas of masculinity, especially in Black Hollywood. Final thoughts. Terrence Howard's refusal to portray Marvin Gaye based on possible explorations of his sexuality says more about the actor than it does about the man he was supposed to play. Gaye was courageous in his vulnerability, even if he never addressed certain rumors publicly. Howard, on the other hand, chose safety over challenge, comfort over complexity. But perhaps that's what separates the good actors from the great ones, not just talent, but the courage to step into someone else's skin fully, even when it challenges your identity. Marvin Gaye's story is still waiting to be told in all its beautiful, tragic, messy truth. Let's just hope the next actor who gets the call is ready to do him justice.